When it comes to projects in the built environment, what you measure can literally make or break you. But how do you take this massive flood of data that's coming at you and turn it into smart, quick decisions? Well, that is exactly where project metrics come in. So let's dive in and break down how they work and, more importantly, why getting them right is just non-negotiable.
Okay, let me just throw a number at you. 11.4%. According to the Project Management Institute, this single number represents a massive, and I mean massive, hidden cost bleeding out of our industry. So what is it? That's the chunk of all project spending that just gets wasted, gone. We are talking billions and billions of dollars vaporized because of poor project performance. And look, this isn't just the cost of doing business. It is a huge, systemic problem, and it's one we need to solve.
Now, here's the good news. A lot of this waste, it's totally preventable. The key, the absolute key to stopping the bleeding, lies in two incredibly powerful tools: metrics and what we call key performance indicators, or KPIs.
The best way to think about these is like the dashboard in your car, but for your project. They're your early warning system. They give you a crystal clear, traceable view of what's going on, so you can keep everyone in the loop, make decisions with confidence, and, this is the big one, manage risks before they become full-blown disasters.
All right, so you're going to hear the words metrics and KPIs thrown around a lot. People sometimes even use them like they're the same thing. They are not. And trust me, understanding the difference is absolutely fundamental if you want to use them right.
Let's start with the metric. Put simply, a metric is really any piece of data you can quantify that tells you something about your project. You know, stuff like cost, timetables, how much material you have on hand, safety incidents. It's all the raw information.
A KPI, on the other hand, is special. It's a metric that you have specifically chosen, you've handpicked it because it is absolutely critical to your project's success. It's not just any old data point. It's a giant signpost that tells you if you're heading toward your most important goals.
So, here it is in a nutshell. Metrics tell you what is happening. They're the day-to-day facts on the ground. But KPIs, they tell you if you're on track to actually succeed. See the difference? One is just information, the other is a strategic compass.
I love this quote because it just sums it up perfectly. Every single KPI you track is, by its very nature, a metric. But you're going to have tons and tons of other metrics that are useful for day-to-day stuff, but just aren't important enough to be called a key performance indicator.
Okay, so knowing the difference is step one. But the real trick, the thing that separates successful projects from the rest, is choosing the right metrics. I mean, just because everybody tracks something doesn't mean it's right for your project. So how do you do it? How do you build a system that actually measures what matters? It all starts right here, with your critical success factors, or CSFs. Before you measure a single thing, you, your team, and all your stakeholders have to sit down and agree on one single, clear definition of what success even looks like for this particular project. And the logic from there is actually beautifully simple. Step 1, you define what winning the game looks like by setting your CSFs. Step 2, you pick the specific KPIs that will tell you with no ambiguity whether you're hitting those targets. That's it. That's the core of the whole thing. Generally, your critical success factors are going to fall into three big buckets. First, execution. You know, are we getting the job done on time and on budget? Second, governance. Is the whole thing being managed and controlled the right way? And third, risk. Are we spotting threats and dealing with them before they blow up?
Now, the really great news is that you don't have to start from a blank page and invent all this yourself. Nope. Industry leaders have already done a ton of the heavy lifting and developed some really powerful frameworks you can borrow from.
Two of the heavy hitters here are the Construction Industry Institute and the Lean Construction Institute. These groups have spent years battle-testing different metrics specifically for our world, for the built environment. For example, the CII gives you a set of 20 core metrics you can use to forecast how things are going and diagnose problems. The LCI, on the other hand, really focuses on lean principles. They use metrics like % plan complete to make sure the work is flowing smoothly. Both are fantastic places to start.
But, and this is a huge but, I have to give you a critical warning. You could almost never, ever understand what's truly going on by looking at just one KPI in a vacuum. Why? Because these things are all interconnected. Looking at one without its buddies can lead you to some seriously wrong conclusions.
Let me show you what I mean. Picture this. You pull up your dashboard on a Tuesday morning and you see this. You're behind schedule and you're over budget.
At first glance, this looks pretty bad, right? Looks like a clear performance issue. But now, watch what happens when we add just 2 more pieces of data. We can now see there have been 40 approved scope changes and a staff turnover of 12 people. All of a sudden, the story completely changes. Those negative numbers, they might not be about poor performance at all. It could just be the cost of all that extra work and the slowdown from training new people. If you didn't have that extra context, you'd be off trying to solve the wrong problem.
And that really brings us to the whole point of this entire exercise. The goal isn't to just collect a bunch of data so you can make pretty charts. The goal is to use that data to drive better, faster, and way more informed decisions.
When you boil it all down, it comes to this. Good metrics give you clarity, but bad metrics, or good metrics that you look at in isolation, well, those are just plain dangerous. They don't just not help, they can actually trick you into making terrible decisions.
This line from the source material just says it all. Even when you have the best data in the world, making the right call can still be tough. But if your data is bad, you are almost guaranteed to make a bad call. The stakes really are that high.
So, I'll just leave you with this one final thought to take back to your own projects. Take a hard look at the data you're tracking, at the dashboards you review every day, and ask yourself this honest question. Are your metrics really telling you the whole story?